The 19th of January. I'm Stephen Ridgway. Apologies if you dialed in to listen to yesterday's, and it wasn't live. That I think is 100% down to me being possibly marginally better at cybersecurity than I am at using streaming software. So apologies for that. Hope you found the articles useful anyway. So there's an article in Bleeping Computer that has pointed out that TeamViewer is still being used as a method of gaining access to devices. So TeamViewer is very good, very functional remote access software, used extensively used for things like IT support and other bits and pieces, but it is also used by scammers and ransomware actors who use it to gain access to remote desktops in order to drop and execute malicious files without having to worry about any other complicated means of getting the stuff there. So this has been overall. This has been going on since at least early 2016. However, it is still happening. Currently, the researchers from Huntress show that cyber criminals basically are still using the same old techniques for these things. So get access to a TeamViewer device. Many ways you can do that. There may be vulnerabilities in it. You may be able to use leaked credentials, you name it. And then use that device to spread things like malware, extract information, so on and so forth. So no specific actions to take other than I would say ensure that if you do have publicly available remote access solutions, bear in mind that most of those solutions will be known one way or another, and people with malintent are very likely to be trying all sorts of ways in which they can compromise those devices, because as you can imagine, once you've got onto that device, you are potentially, as an attacker, in a very strong position to move around the network and do XYZ, whatever it is that your objective is. So yeah, make sure you've got strong authentication on things. Only put remote access solutions, make them available on the internet if that's something that is required by your business model. Where possible, tie down access to specific devices, specific IP addresses, use VPNs, whatever it may be. So yeah, bear that one in mind. Cyber crooks are targeting Docker containers with a novel page view generator. Excuse me. There's a group of criminals who are using, basically, instead of uploading specific bits of malware, they're uploading malicious containers to devices running Docker. The particular one that they are talking about in this article from Dark Reading is known as 9hits, I think. Its role appears to be to generate fake page hits. Now, bearing in mind there are pay-per-click type solutions out there. If you can get malware that will do the clicking and you set up the malware to click on something that you own, and you get paid for all those clicks, then you can make money that way. It can affect SEO. It can affect rankings in search search engines. There's all sorts of things that you can do by having some malware that does the clicking. So if you are running containers, obviously, the straightforward stuff again is quite important. Make sure you are auditing what containers are actually running on your infrastructure. Which, although that sounds easy, I'm sure that is not necessarily quite as straightforward to do at scale as it could be. However, there are means by which you can get alerts, or certainly get events logged into your security visibility tooling when when containers are spun up or spun down or whatever it would be. And I think at any particular time, you should know what containers should be running in your environment. And if there are unknown ones, something has probably gone wrong. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Good Docker hygiene will go a long way to mitigating this particular risk. But it is new, and there's further information linked from the Dark Reading article if you want to delve a little deeper into what's going on there. So more from Russia, the Cold River APT has unleashed some custom, what they call Spica, SPICA malware. It is suspected this has been released the timing of this release is associated to the state of the elections or the looming election in the US. As always, we can be certain that Russian intelligence will be very interested in what's going on during those elections, and that there is evidence that Russia will engage in disinformation in order to, well, for all sorts of reasons. I think not necessarily in order to get a particular president elected. I think it's equally likely to be around just how much disruption can be caused, how much of a distraction can that be, especially at a time when they don't particularly want the world looking closely at what is going on and what Russia is doing, especially in Ukraine. So be aware of that. The malware, although the techniques that are associated with this piece of malware are known, it is a new piece of malware, probably cyber espionage. It gives the attacker the ability to execute arbitrary shell commands, steal cookies from Chrome, Firefox, Opera, and Edge. You upload and download files, viewing the contents of the file systems, enumerating documents, and exfiltrating them in an archive. It is entirely possible that this piece of malware has been around for longer than people realised. There are indications it goes back possibly over a year. However, more is known about it now, and definitely appears to be an uptick in its use, which may well be associated with the US election season. And then finally from me, again, information coming out of the US. US law enforcement agencies and security agencies are warning that made-in-China drones may be helping Beijing snoop on the world. Now, this is an interesting concept. Certainly, I've looked at the cheaper end of the market for certain online cameras, like digital cameras. And it is very interesting that the camera connects to a centralized server somewhere outbound. And then if you want to see what's going on, you connect your app, you connect the app, and the app then talks to the centralized server. I'm not I'm not a pen tester, and I don't do reverse engineering of Internet of Things. Um, However, I have seen that the traffic flows are very interesting, and there isn't much you can do in the way of accessing the device locally without it doesn't have any obvious sort of logon pages. So this thing about drones helping Beijing snoop the world, you may look at it and go, well, oh, come on, that sounds unrealistic. But actually, I think a lot of Chinese-made what could be used as surveillance equipment actually does send all of the data over to servers in China or under Chinese control. And then we are aware of the fact that by law, these organisations, private organisations or whatever, are obliged to give the Chinese authorities access to any data that Chinese authorities want. So it is entirely possible that there are millions of devices, drones, CCTV cameras, you name it, all of which are busily uploading information in real time to servers that a not particularly friendly nation state has access to. And although my suspicion is that often with these things you say, well, okay, I'll pay extra in order to have X number of days worth of video streaming retained. Well, there's nothing to say that if you aren't paying for that, that they aren't just siphoning it off anyway. And we do know that one of the the modus operandi of Chinese cyber forces is to just gather as much information as they can possibly get their hands on and then work through it all at their leisure to see what's useful in it. And they've got very good at this. I mean, the surveillance on their own citizens is verging on extraordinary. They're efficient and good. They can do this stuff at scale. And presumably they are doing this at scale across the world via things like drones. Anyway, that's all for me for today. I hope you've had a good week. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will speak to you all again on Monday morning.